big differences that I noticed when my son started going to school compared to when I went to school. It seems like when I went to school, fashion was across the board. And that wasn't just fashion. It was hairstyles. It wasn't just clothing. It was hairstyles. It was everything. There was so many things that were across the board. And if you didn't fit in, let's say blonde hair was the thing, and I'm not saying it was. I don't know that ever was across the board. But, you would feel out of place, right? Mm-hmm. And nowadays, it seems like the kids are more diverse. It seems like you have, one kid with an afro, one kid with straight hair, one kid with short hair, a girl with short hair, boy with long hair, and vice versa, right? And except for the schools that have, uniforms, they're pretty much all diverse as that goes. However, from what I was just looking at when I was preparing for the interview with Deborah at Reber, it looks like the kids are still kids, and so it's not easy being a kid, and as parents, it's really a challenge to figure out how we can do the best job we can as parents for our children. Differently Wired is the title of the book that Deborah Reber has written, Raising an Exceptional Child in a Conventional World. I went on Amazon, and it is number one right now in the category of parenting children with disabilities, and I can understand why. 31 customers gave it 5 stars. Not bad, right? That's across the board, by the way. Deborah Reber is the founder of Tilt Parenting. She homeschools her 13-year-old son named Asher. Her book, again, Differently Wired. Good morning, Deborah.
Good morning.
It's an honor to have you on our show. How's Asher doing today?
Asher is at a camp for differently wired kids right now in Wyoming, so I hope he's doing really well. I haven't heard, so that's a good sign, I think.
And in his case, the differences are actually diagnosed ADHD, correct, and Asperger's, and what was the third one? Just gifted?
And he's also highly gifted.
Yeah,
yes.
yeah.
It's called twice exceptional, yeah.
Did having a diagnosis, a defined diagnosis, help you as a parent? Did it help you understand what was going on?
It did. It's interesting. The diagnosis is helpful, to just have at least an idea of what this might look like and make some behavior make sense. And it can also help advocate in the school system and give some context for their behavior. At the same time, we have to every child's different, right? So we have to really look at who they are and what their individual traits are and work to support those.
Do the challenges that the child faces in his social setting, do they come from the other kids? Do they come from the adults in his life, like the teachers, etc.? And I'm not trying to pigeonhole somebody into being a bad character. I'm just wondering if there's a difference between how you handle his relationship with other children as well as other adults.
I think the biggest challenge comes because kids who are moving through the world differently, they behave in unexpected or sometimes unusual ways. And so, we have this idea of what it means to be a well-behaved kid, what it means to, to follow social cues and to kind of be part of a group classroom. And these kids have their own plan, and they're not reading social cues necessarily the same, or they're on a different timeline with their academics or their emotional social development. So the challenge is when we're trying to force them to be someone that they're not, and that's when the problems can happen.
And sometimes the parents are afraid because of what they think their children have, and they need to, and you advocate for the parents to listen more to their child and alleviate that fear. That's the way they can help them.
Yeah, we as parents of these children we feel kind of stuck. And so for us, a lot of it is really confronting the vision that we had for who our kid was going to be, what our parenting journey would be, and then kind of questioning all of that and redefining it. Because when we kind of stay on our program, when our kid is saying, nope, I'm going a different direction here, this isn't going to work with me, that's when the challenges really, really come up. So we need to really pay attention to who our kid is and adapt our style.
In the book, you say that there were some times when you felt a bit of guilt, and explain that. Why would you feel guilty?
I think, with Asher in particular, I didn't know everything that was going on with him, and I was trying to parent in the way I thought I knew best in the books that I read, and I was following advice of people. And in doing so and not paying attention to the fact that, oh, this kid really actually is very anxious right now, I didn't even recognize that. And so, yeah, I did feel some guilt because had I noticed that earlier, perhaps I would have shifted my approach and saved him some of the stress that he was going through.
And speaking with other parents, are there some similarities that you find that each parent can help each other with in raising the child, their children?
Yeah, I think the commonality for all of us is that we all do feel kind of isolated at one point or another, which is ironic because there are so many of us. You know, it's more than 20% of kids are differently wired. So if you think about the numbers, there's millions of parents in the same situation. And so I really advocate, you know, being open about what's happening and normalizing this so it doesn't feel like something that we need to hide or that we can't talk about, because there's nothing wrong with our kids. They're just different.
Through the book, it becomes clear that everything you've done is always based on love. Even the guilt that we just talked about is based on love. If you didn't love your Asher, then you wouldn't have that guilt. I think the book serves for the reader, and this is probably why you're getting such great reviews. I think it serves the reader because you just said you read all the books on child rearing, but there was probably no book like this.
No, a lot of the books that exist, and I have pretty much all the books that are aimed at parents like me. They're on my bookshelf, and they're great, but they're also focused on fixing problems, and they remind you as a parent that, you know, quote unquote, there's something wrong here. And I wanted to flip that and help parents feel like, actually, you know, this is kind of a cool thing. Your child is unique. He or she has a lot of gifts, and you can actually feel really confident and joyful in this journey.
And you are allowing your child to grow on his own because, like you said earlier, he's at camp right now. You're not there, but he's experiencing life with other people.
Exactly. 18 days adventure camp. I'm so excited and kind of jealous.
Oh my gosh. and you must be lonely right now. Do you have any other children?
He is my only. I won the lottery the first time, so I decided that I'm going to stick with that.
Nice.
Deborah, congratulations. You have written a wonderful book, and again, it's just a really touching love story and helps other people with children. You know what? And I think all children are exceptional and in some way or other. And I know that's not what you meant with exceptional, but I think it's true and also applies. I think what you say applies to all children, actually. I have a copy of your book, and I would like to give it away. So if you're listening right now and you'd like Differently Wired, please call me. I'll leave it on the desk for you here at the radio station. The rest of us have to go buy it. I did find it on Amazon where it's listed as number 1. Do you have a website you want to tell us about, Deborah?
My website is Tilt Parenting, and you can actually read a sample chapter of the book there. And I also have a weekly podcast where I interview experts and parenting gurus aimed at parents like me.
All right. Well, just so you know, the phone lit up, so I know the book is doing well. Let me give it away real quickly. Good morning. You've got the book. Who's this?
Hi, this is Rick.
Rick?
Yes.
Do you know where we are?
Yes, sir, I do.
Okay, Rick, you've got it. It'll be waiting for you.
All right, thanks.
All right.
Bye-bye.
Deborah, thank you for being on the air with us today. That was very touching. I love that conversation.
Thank you so much. Me too.
You're welcome. We'll be right back.
Hi, Matt Wilkerson here, your Verizon representative with news that will hum your car, make it smart and safe. How? With the new Hum device by Verizon. You can